Okay, so I have Konrad with me, and we're ready to go. We got the raid from Jill. Konrad, are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Hey everyone. Wait. Okay, let's see. Should I get some like ambient music in the background or something? Um,
That would be cool.
so
Hello.
so hi everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know a lot of you are watching Jill. Um, and thank you again, Jill, for being awesome and reading with us today. So, so today I have a couple of artists with me, and starting off, we have Konrad. And I know you guys, if you're on Tomb Raider Twitter, you have had to have seen Konrad's work at some point on your timeline. And I think this year, especially, Konrad, people have been a big fan of your Angel of Darkness model, and I know I've seen a legend model and stuff like that. So I don't know if you want to quickly introduce yourself a little bit to chat or anything or say anything about your history with Tomb Raider and your work.
Yeah, I mean, Tomb Raider actually inspired me to get into game development. So, if not Tomb Raider, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So, that's obviously a great shortcut.
That's cool.
But yeah, I work in the game development and I do character design and character modeling for games. So, this is what I do for a
That's
living.
really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, and today we're gonna do a little bit of Tomb Raider reboot uh, poster render, and I'm gonna go for a little unification vibes. So stay with me. So can we start?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll play some music and chat.
Uh,
You can tell me if it's too loud. I just think he wants some ambient
okay.
stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually pose the model now, and it's gonna be better to pose it in this solid mode because it's not gonna lag. So that's why she changed into this kind of solid material. Also, if you feel like, asking me some questions about modeling, about rendering, feel free to do it. I'm gonna try to answer it all.
Okay, let me see. It's funny because like I have the music basically on volume one, but hopefully, ooh,
I mean, I cannot hear anything, but I think it's
yeah,
normal,
you
right?
can't hear it, but they can hear it. Let me know if that's a little bit better, guys.
I'm going for this kind of pose where she will hold her wounded arm right here.
I think people
Oh,
don't want the music; they just want to hear you, Conrad. So,
uh, that's so nice. um, so for that, we actually need to make her wounded, and I have it on my timeline, so her textures animate, and she is becoming more and more damaged. If that makes sense. So I'm gonna go for the pose similar to what she's actually having on her Tomb Raider reboot cover art for the game,
oh,
where she
cool.
kind of where she kind of holds her wounded arm. Um,
Is she going to have like a her quiver down on one in one hand, like down below her legs, kind of thing?
I don't know. I mean, I was actually going for this kind of innocent vibe that she's kind of like starting the adventure, and I want her to like stand in front of the camera, looking like directly into the camera, and I want it to be very like I don't want it to be just a simple render. I rather have it more artistic, if you know what I mean. Like
Yep.
it'll be very like posed. Um, so I'm not sure yet. I do have a quiver for her in case. I mean, actually, I don't know. That maybe the chat will tell us.
Well,
Uh,
speaking of chat, so Susie was asking Conrad, what's the most enjoyable part of your process and why?
what's the most? Oh, she just lost her. Oh, okay. Uh, Wait a minute, because I can see the stream and it's lagging a little bit, but that's
It
okay.
might be lagging for
Uh,
you, but I don't know if it's lagging for chat because nobody has said that it's lagging.
oh, okay. What's the most enjoyable in this process, right? Um, I think generally like seeing the progress when you start with basically nothing, and you're finishing with this model that you can pose, you can animate, and later you can see it when it comes alive, sort of comes alive in game, and it's moving, it's animating. This is very satisfying because something that started off as a bunch of polygons becomes basically a living human being, almost, obviously, almost. So this is very exciting, just seeing how it evolves. But technically, I think texturing, like painting the textures, this is my favorite part of modeling and doing models. Um, I hope this answers your question. Yeah, so I have this version of her where she has her gear on, and she also can have a quiver and the bow. So if you guys think that this is more appropriate for the cover, I can do it this way. Oh, thank you, Susie. Oh, asking another question for Camellia. Am I saying this? If I'm saying this wrong, I'm sorry. Which game studio are you using? I am using Blender, and it's Blender 2.9. And I'm actually using Eevee Renderer because it's faster. It renders in real time. I usually go for cycles, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time to render. Also, is everything okay? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I think
Because I
everyone
know.
can hear you.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
If
um,
anyone, yeah, they said yes. If anyone cannot hear Conrad, let me know. But yeah, they're all saying yes, so I think so.
okay,
My stream will pick up any of my desktop audio, so that anything that I can hear, the stream will be able to hear. So since I can hear you on Discord, they can hear you.
that's great.
Yep, the magic of live streams.
By the way, this is like literally my first time streaming and doing something like that. So this is very exciting for me to be able to show you guys what I'm doing. Also, if there is someone who is a aspiring 3D modeler and is just beginning his adventure with modeling, I gotta say, because I have this finished model and I am posing it and it looks pretty easy, but I want you to know that this is a long process, and you cannot just come here and see this and think to yourself, oh, he has done it so quickly. No, this takes time. So it's okay to take time to learn, to watch tutorials, to not know things, and this is a very long process. And I encourage everybody to just ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask somebody more experienced questions. I'm always free to, I mean, I'm not always free, but I am always willing to help. So you guys can count on me.
That's very sweet of you.
Oh, I try. I try to be a good person. I want her to be kind of uncomfortable holding her wound. Rock, what you said. Yeah, this is the cruel, and it takes a lot of like patience and
It seems
passion.
that's the consensus about most hobbies, or at least hobbies that people tend to be really passionate about. It's like once you're really into something, you're really into it, and then that's it. It becomes your
Yeah,
whole life.
exactly. I mean, I think I am so lucky to work with something that I love, and you know,
I
my
don't
work is
know.
my passion. So.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
answered this question, but somebody asked, did you do the whole rigging by yourself? Or I don't know if they're speaking to somebody else about that, or if
yeah, I
it's
think they're talking to me. Yeah, I did the whole model by myself, and I did the whole rigging too.
from
I
from
mean,
start to finish. How long does it usually take you to do a model?
I mean, if you would like shorten the process to, just doing it, because obviously I'm doing it after work. So like this model here with all of her versions, I think she had like five stages of her outfit damaging. So it took me like 6 months to complete all of them. But also, if you were to compress this whole time, I think it would be like, I don't know, 2 months maybe, or working day, like all of those models. So yeah, I actually enjoy rigging a lot because I see those comments from people saying that rigging is so bad, and I mean I do feel you because it is kind of it requires a lot of patience. But once you master it, it's really satisfying. So I like rigging a lot.
Are
Basically,
there
like
any
doing everything.
other are there any other projects you had planned until the end of this year for for I guess
You
the
mean like professional projects or Tomb Raider related
Tomb Raider
projects?
related?
Obviously, we're here for the Tomb Raider, right? um, yeah, I mean, obviously, like I've made this legend model, and I do not plan to like do just one render of it. I'm gonna do a lot of renders with her. Uh, she might have some other purposes that I won't tell you about because I don't want to spoil.
That's okay.
Uh, obviously, I mean, I think a lot of people kind of know where she's gonna appear. But yeah, the legend model, I'm gonna do a lot of artwork with her because, why do the whole model and just, stop at making one cover? So yeah, I will do a lot of her. I plan to do animation with this Lara here, with Reboot Lara. I wanna do a quick animation with her, just like I did with Legend Lara, just to, show the model off.
Somebody asked how hard is it working in game development and how complex and hard is the work in general?
How do I answer this question? I would say it's not hard at all because I really enjoy it. This is like my passion, and this is what I want to do. One downside to it is that I completely stopped playing video games after I know how it's made. I mean, obviously I do play Tomb Raider, but this is pretty much the only series that I play now because of my love to Tomb Raider, right? But other than that, yeah, it's just you see this every day. You know how it's made. It's almost like not as rewarding and exciting to play when you know how it's made and when you see it every day. So that's a downside. But it's not like that for everyone. Like my colleagues at work actually are gamers, so it's not like that for everyone. So beside that, yeah, when you are having like a huge deadline, but I think it's at every work, right? When you have like huge deadline and oh God, this is not a pleasure anymore, especially when you consider yourself an artist, and obviously art takes time, right? And sometimes you don't really feel inspired to do something, and you have to kind of force yourself to do it, and it's not it, right? It's just I'm sure that anybody who is in the art industry like understands what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think those are the only downfalls to being in game dev.
Makes sense. I've heard a lot of game developers say kind of the same thing is like, it's funny because once you work in gaming, somehow you have less time for gaming.
Yeah,
This is usually how it
exactly.
goes.
Exactly.
I know
Yeah.
I know exactly how that is. because it's like that for me sometimes too. When things are really busy at work, that you just have those days sometimes where like you're so tired after work, you just kind of want to just do nothing. And it's some, a lot of times I like to wind down playing a game that I really like, and then there are just some days where I'm just too exhausted after work and I just want to do nothing. So,
I know, right? And then you do nothing, and you're like, oh, maybe I would do something, and then like, nah.
but at the same time, I think I'm kind of the opposite of you. So, I mean, I say that, but at the same time, like I I would say I play a lot. I only really stop playing a ton when I'm like absolutely crazy busy at work. But otherwise, I would say it kind of had the opposite effect for me than what you said, because you said like once you started working, you said you don't play games anymore except maybe Tomb Raider. I feel like if anything, I've ever since I started working in game development, I feel like I developed more of an appreciation for games in general, and I used to be someone that would only play like one thing or like one or two things. And I think after working now in the industry for like 10 years, 10 plus years, I have like way more of an appreciation for developers and like all the work that they put into it, that like I'm more likely to try other games and stuff like that because I just like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah, I understand what you're talking about because before I got into game development, it was kind of very easy to judge uh, the game, and obviously, like there is no such thing as perfect game. And now, when I see some comments about people not being happy with something, and I just know how hard it was to implement the game. So it's just yeah, it definitely made me more appreciate. I mean, I appreciate the effort way more than I did before. This is so true what you just said.
Oh, this is, people are saying
Oh,
it's so quiet now. Sorry, it's because we're not talking, but some people were complaining about the music, so I wasn't playing. I can play it again. Just people said it was too loud. It's just,
ask me questions.
yeah, you guys can ask
I'm
questions.
I know that Julian is in the chat, and I'm happy to spoil Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness remake. Just kidding, he will kill me.
And Norse chick TR lo-fi beats. That sounds sick. I would take that. Oh, we just passed 29,000. Yay. Hey,
Oh,
thank you for the donation, Andy.
thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. So obviously, we are here for two reasons. We always love highlighting the talent and amazing community members behind Tomb Raider. But we're also here for Extra Life. And if any of you are not familiar with Extra Life, they are a super cool organization based in North America. And every year, people raise money for children's hospitals across the country. And so Crystal Dynamics has partnered with a couple of children's hospitals that are near our headquarters in Northern California. So UCSF, Benioff's Children's Hospitals, and there's one in San Francisco and one in Oakland. So they're very close to us, and they're really, really awesome. And so we are raising money to go towards them. And so if you are able to donate, we do have a team page that you can go to. And I will drop the link in chat. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. That is the link. You meant so this is someone I think to you, Conrad. They said you've mentioned it is going to be representing your take on the unified Lara. Are you going to edit the mesh after posting her, or there is going to be another mesh after you do the cover of TR 2013?
Oh, this is a good question because I kind of want to like foreshadow it a little bit. I don't want it to be like strictly unified. So it will be mainly like just reboot Lara, but I don't know if I want to spoil. Okay, I will spoil. Give me a second. Obviously, I have like those layers here. I have like different outfits for her. We have this outfit. Wait a minute. And she is gonna appear somewhere in the cover. I'm not gonna tell you where yet, but
Whoa!
yeah, there are some bugs on her neck, but don't worry about it. I will fix it later. So yeah, this is basically like like reboot Lara in the classic attire. But that's later. Let's go back to reboot Lara. And it will be like very subtle. I don't want it to be like in your face. I want it to be like it's still Tomb Raider reboot, but it's somehow reflected on the future of Lara. So.
It's his to spoil, right? So it's okay. We accept the spoilers. It's fine.
Oh, thank
um,
you, Master. I do see the chat, but I
yes,
am like,
someone else. It's okay. I'll relay some stuff to you from chat.
yeah, that's cool.
Camellia
Because,
asked a question. She asked,
okay.
do you sketch out your render ideas before starting to pose the model?"
Usually, no, I don't. And today I did it, and I am kind of silly because I forgot to screenshot it. But I did a, actually, I did a real life pencil drawing because I kind of prefer to do sketches with pencil because I feel more comfortable. And I basically it looked something like that. And I just wanted to have like a vision because of this stream. Usually I just, you know, go very, how do you say it?
YOLO.
YOLO, yeah, just go in and, yeah, exactly. Like I don't know if you guys remember the Tomb Raider Legend cover that I did recently. Yeah, it was here a minute ago. A minute, yeah. So I had so many poses for her. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and then I settled for the final one. So yeah, most of the time I just play with poses and see what works best.
I missed a similar question, but Martin asked, her skin textures look incredible. Do you paint them by hand, and which program do you use to create the textures? Substance Painter, maybe?
Okay, that's a great question. Wait, because I lost the camera and I'm looking for it. I do paint textures of the skin uh, by hand. I do it by hand in Blender, and I kind of sculpt, like I do a real like a sculpt, and I sculpt the details on a very high poly model, and then I bake those details into the textures. Like it's a complicated process, so it's hard to explain without showing it, and I cannot really show it because it will like mess up my scene. But yeah, I do it by hand when it comes to skin textures. When it comes to her clothes and her gear, um, I do use Substance Painter and Blender combined, but mostly Substance Painter. This is such a great program. Both of them are. And you can probably already see that I cannot focus on more things than one at a time. So bear with me. At this moment, I would like to just set up the camera to have like rough idea of where she will be. in the camera's eye. And I'm gonna set up just like some proportions. Oh no, that's not.
People trying to buy your models.
I paid the price. Oh.
Tell us a little bit about what else will you surprise us with. Should we expect some new Lara models in the future? Maybe some game mods?
I am working on a game mod right now for Rise. It's something similar to what I did for the reboot, but it's much more simple and much more quick. And I'm gonna release it like, I don't know, in a week. So there's that. But for the models, I do wanna, I don't know, spoilers again. I am working on obviously like Curtis model and Kings of Darkness models, but I also am doing a take on my version of Unified Lara. And it's gonna be something totally new because like this is my vision for Lara. I want to see something totally new, and I just want to make a model to express that. It will take some time, but yeah, this is my vision for future, and it will be something different. I'm not basing it on any Lara, really. It's just like my vision. So hopefully you will like it.
I think people love it.
This is so nice. Wind blow her hair. Underworld Lara. You would like to see Tomb Raider Underworld Lara. I love her. I really do. It's nice time to do all of those models, you know. It's a lot of work. And also this one, I think I should. I was inspired by Visual Works when they did the model for the trailer, so I really wanted to make her look like she did in the trailers. It was my inspiration for that.
JB asking a troll question, but he asked Konrad, are you open to doing collabs with other artists?
No. I mean, yeah. Obviously, like I wanted to do a collab with you, but you didn't want to do a collab with me, so sorry.
Wow! Troll reversed.
Yeah.
He just pulled
The
a
tea.
Uno reverse card on you, JB.
The tea is spilled. Sorry. Not sorry. Yeah. No, just kidding. We are doing a collab and we're gonna post it soon. So hope y'all are excited for that.
Jill Kerman. I love it.
Well, yeah. We need to spice up this stream
Wow,
a
JB,
little.
I didn't know that. How could you deny Konrad? That's messed up. Just messed.
That is so not true, people.
Someone said I'm gonna try modding and modeling when I have free time. What would you give me as advice, Konrad? It's probably broad question, but
It
do
is,
you mean as
but
like starting out or like what?
okay. So first of all, I think if Rock is here or Nikotsu, they will know that I'm not a very bright person when it comes to technology, and mastering Blender took me literally years. And when it comes to modding, I always relied on other people knowledge. When it comes to modding, like strictly modding the game. So I might not be that helpful with the technical aspect of it. But when it comes to modeling and working in game dev and doing models, my advice to you would be start simple. You would have to like learn all of the bases of the program, like Blender or 3ds Max. I obviously will recommend you Blender because it's free, and this is a huge advantage, and it's very well-made program, at least for me. Uh, so there are a lot of tutorials. When I was starting my journey with Blender, there weren't very like there weren't a lot of tutorials on YouTube. But now you just have everything handled to you, and you just have to type the phrase, and you will get it. So start simple, be patient. You're not gonna learn how to model characters overnight unless you're a genius or something. This journey took me like, I don't know, to be where I am now. It's probably like 7 years,
I don't
and
think
I
I'd
had
learn even after many nights, I'm gonna be honest. If there's one
right
thing,
like
if there's one thing I told you, like I was telling you guys when we were setting all of this up, like I was telling you, Susie, JB, and Keith, I was like, I surprisingly watch art streams more than I watch game streams, and I'm not even an artist, and it's just because I find it so both very fascinating to watch and also just it's very relaxing, and I just like appreciating it. I just wish I had any ounce of talent myself, but I don't. But
that's
I wish I
I
did
mean
because it's cool. Like I'm watching you right now, and I'm like, I wish I could do this, but
we are
uh,
very nice, but and I gotta tell, like talent does come in handy, but also you can learn all of that if you have like enough patience, and if you're very like strong mentally, because you need that in 3D programs. uh, you're gonna do it. This is like you can learn everything. We have so many tutorials, and yeah, my advice to a beginner would be like you have to be prepared. This is gonna be tough. You have to be patient. You have to be determined. You're gonna fail a lot. This is normal. I failed a lot. Um, so yeah, this is really my first advice because it's so complex. I cannot really go into teaching you how to do it because it would be like a whole course.
yeah,
We don't have time for
yep.
that. But yeah, like the general advice, yeah, just be patient and keep it simple at first. Hey guys, I have the toughest time with Reboot Lara and her face. I don't know what expression she should have. Should she be like scared or determined or I don't know.
In 2013, it seemed like she had more scared expressions than the other games, but determined is like goes towards her growth. I think it's whatever you're inspired by probably as the artist.
Let's try a little determination here because she's like, I can do it.
I don't think this question was for me, but so hopefully not. But Susie asked, "What is your favorite TR level, and how has Lara influenced you?" I'm assuming you mean like out of any game, right? So Conrad, go ahead and answer that because I
Like
don't.
level or custom level
It says favorite TR level. I think from the main games, not custom level.
oh, this is whoa. I did not expected this question. I expected, some kind of questions like, "What's your favorite game?" But level, um, can we
Maybe
go
yes.
like for each game?
No, not
Because
for each game. I think she's basically asking out of all Tomb Raider games, like, what is your.
oh
Because everyone asks what's your favorite game, right? But
yeah,
I like that she's asking that question. So out of all games, like, what's your favorite level in a Tomb Raider game?
what is my favorite level? I would say my favorite level will be um I think it'll be Ghana from Tomb Raider Legend.
Oh, interesting. Nice. It's definitely
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know that this is a simple game and it's short and stuff like that. So I am taking this like strictly for nostalgic reasons. Because it was my first. I mean, it wasn't my first Tomb Raider, but it was the first Tomb Raider that I was like old enough to understand what's going on, and it was also the time where I became very aware what Lara means to me. Uh, and Tomb Raider Legend in general will always be very nostalgic for me, and I really like the atmosphere and the general vibe that Ghana gave me because it was modern Tomb Raider, but it was also paying homage to classic Tomb Raider, kind of jungle vibes and stuff like that. So yeah, it was my favorite.
Nice. Good choice.
I did play classic. What?
Oh.
I did play classic Tomb Raiders. Not like, I mean, I did play Tomb Raider 1 when I was like 1 year old, but and I didn't know what's going on there because I mean, I used to watch my father play when I was very little. I don't think that I was even able to talk at all. Uh, I did like recently do a playthrough with all of the classic Tomb Raiders. Yeah, it's not like I didn't play it.
Martin asked another question that I missed, and it's funny because he's like, I'm just taking notes for my model, but he said, do you also use Blender to create the hair strand textures? I know the process is a bit different compared to the other textures because I learned to do it on Maya, but I didn't get results as good as yours. I'm just taking notes for my model.
Okay, I'm gonna show you a different view of the hair. Um, where do I? Okay, this one. And as you can see, those are strands. Don't mind the topology. I know the topology is not right. But it was a model made for renders, so it doesn't have to be game ready. Yeah, and basically you have those on the textures, and I painted those textures by hand. I believe I made it like, I don't know, 20 years ago, and it was made with GIMP. Because as you can probably tell, I love using free programs. So I just, I did it by hand and I just placed all of those cards onto it. So yeah, it was a lot of handmade work. It wasn't like I didn't use any generators, so it took a lot of time. But I think that the final effect is worth it. So I do encourage you to spend time, a lot of time with your models if you want it to be the way you want it to be, if that makes sense. Like uh, sometimes relying on generators and automatic stuff is good, but for things like hair and like finer details like eyelashes and eyes, I would say it's better to do it by hand, just to you know be sure that it's made exactly the way you want it to be. Also, I can, later on, I can just explain it to you more in detail when we have like more time. Because it's not that hard. It just requires a lot of patience.
um, were you answering Rack's question? Because Rack had a question too.
No.
Rack asked Konrad, what's your method of weight painting hair meshes?
Okay, that's a good question. My method for it is not using Blender 2.9. I use older version of Blender because I think weight painting is way easier there, and it's way better. And I just, how do I show it you here? In this newer blender, it's gonna be hard to show, but I hope that you see it. Wait.
Keith, I wish I knew what I meant. What it meant. The space between 2D and 3D, huh? Is that what that is?
Yeah. In Blender, I cannot even pick the bone. I mean, I know how it works, but it's very confusing for me. Basically, I use a lot of blur. There is like this brush that blurs everything, so it's smooth. And I use that a lot, and it makes everything smooth. I cannot show you here because I don't use this blender to rig, but as you can see, the weights are very smooth. And I know that in modding, usually there are some limits, right? So this technique might not be the best for modding, but I mean, there are ways to control it. I mean, I did my mod for Tomb Raider Reboot and it worked. You just have to be careful not to go over the limits, because I think it's like the forwards for whatever. I don't remember the technical aspect of it, but yeah, like my secret is just make everything very smooth with the blurred brush. I never use any harsh brushes. I just use very smooth brushes, and that's it. I don't know if it was helpful. I'm sorry. But you can always like DM me and I can show you in older Blender how I do it. I'm happy to help. Okay, her face says literally nothing, so I gotta like do something about it. Let's make her sadder.
Let's see if there's any other questions. JB had asked, "Where's her eyebrow scar?" Konrad can't see it.
It's here. It's very small. Look.
Maybe he's not about the eyebrow scar aesthetic.
Look, it's here. It's very small, but
I
it's here.
cannot see it. See it.
Oh no, so it just has a patchy eyebrow. I don't know. It's like it. Oh, there's this one question that I wish that it would be true.
I just answered it.
Oh. I mean, it is like my biggest dream probably to be able to work on a model.
Alright, Konrad, time to move to California.
Yeah, so I guess like home office is not a thing, right?
It kind of is, but I don't know. We don't really have anyone internationally anyway. We have like offices in 3 different locations in North America. So.
See, I mean, it's safe that way. I understand.
But I can't speak to that because I'm just a community manager. I'm not anyone's
I know.
boss, so.
I didn't expect anything. I was just kidding. I mean, but it is like one can dream, right? It's my dream, and I think that working with Jillian on Angel Blackwood's remake kind of fulfilled that dream a little bit, because I do this thing every day. I do characters every day for living, but it kind of became normal for me. But seeing Lara, like my model, getting animated and being in game and in the environment of the game. It's just, I was just jumping and screaming of joy like a little girl. It's just, it was literally my dream come true. So yeah, thank you, Julian, for that. And I think this is the closest as I get for now to fulfilling this dream. Okay, I think the pose is kind of it's kind of done. She looks like she's a little bit pissed. That's okay. And we can always change that later. Okay, so once I have it, I will sculpt some details. And once you do it, you kind of want to have a, like, you can do it as a morph or as a like temporal addition, but I want to actually edit the model and I won't be able to reverse it. So I just created this whole file that its purpose is to just, do this render. So I'm going to edit the model and I'm going to just do some I'm gonna do some like wrinkling on her skin. Like obviously she would have some kind of fat on her arm, so we're gonna sculpt this right now.
I don't know if
Because
you saw this question, but someone asked, I would like to refer to the final works that you boast about because they have these unique play of lights. Will there be a chance today to see how you illuminate with lights the model for the render?
wait, I think I have to see this question for myself. Uh, where is it?
It's like six, 7 lines up.
The final works. What do you mean by the final works? Because I don't know what you're referring to. But I
Sorry
will
about
set
that.
up the lighting, so probably, yeah. I will set up the lighting just after I finish sculpting her. I'm gonna fix the pose because I can see something is off here. Ah,
Lighting part of render. He said
it's getting laggy.
they said I mean lighting part of render.
Yeah, I will do it later. Like, I just have to finish the sculpting and soon I will start lighting it. Because right now I have some basic setup of light and I will expand on it. However, this render will be made in Blender Eevee and it's a real-time renderer. So it won't be as impressive as renders that I usually do in cycles, but it's still gonna look pretty good. Hope. Adding a multi-resolution modifier to give her more polygons. Um, and it's gonna make sculpting way easier because I have more polygons to work with. And my PC lagged. So we have to wait for it to. Oh, there is this question. The technical question. Do you create two meshes for the eye iris? Um, yeah, I have two meshes for it. I have one for the I'll show you. I think in this case I even have three meshes. So this one is, you know, the refraction and reflection. And what she has inside is her eye, and it's actually concave, the inside. And this one is kind of bumping out to create that bulging effect, if that makes sense. Also, I gotta save. And yeah, this is my advice to all of you. Do save a lot. Because when you're working with high poly meshes, they just tend to, you know, lag. Like this one. This is so relaxing to watch. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, the high poly meshes can be a pain in the ass. And as you can probably see, it's lagging a lot. Even though I have a very good computer,
Is it
yeah, they do
lagging for
lag a
you?
lot.
I don't think anyone on the stream is saying it's lagging. It looks smooth for me, like from what I can see on a screen share.
That's interesting. Yeah, usually when you're doing a character model for game, keep it rather low poly or mid poly. You don't want it to be high poly, right? Because obviously it's bad for the game's engine and for the FPS count. But when you're doing a render, you basically don't care about the topology. It can be very dense. And I don't know why nothing is happening when I'm sculpting. After my fan art, there will be another fan art.
Konrad, you should make more streams like this. I agree. I told I told all of them that I hope they are inspired by today and that they do art streams on their own now because people like watching it.
I mean, this is surprisingly relaxing for me too. I thought I was going to be very stressed,
I told you.
but yeah, this is so.
All right, you guys heard it first. Next Twitch streamer, Konrad.
Yeah,
um,
if only I had someone to like cover the technical stuff for me
I
because I'm
can
really
teach
green
you,
when it.
and even there are plenty of streamers too in the TR community that would be happy to teach you too. Also, Megan actually had a question for you. She said, "How long have
Okay.
you been doing renders, Konrad?"
How long have I been? I think I'm doing renders for like 3 years now, or maybe 4. I don't know. The time runs so fast right now. Uh, I started with just doing mods, for games or for other people to render. Then I, started to develop interest in rendering, and yeah, I think it's 4 years of doing renders. But before I was also like interested, just I didn't know it's gonna end up in game dev.
She said,
Because I don't know if
"What?
this.
I thought at least a decade." I agree with Megan.
Oh, this is so nice. Thank you. I'm actually like what I was supposed to do, what I was educating myself to do was architecture. It's kind of, I mean, it's not similar, but it's also 3D, right? You use programs, and I was studying it, and like I finished it, and I even started doing some actual work in architecture, but I kind of, I don't know, it was lacking creativity for me. It was just so normal and so boring. And I mean, I don't want to offend anyone who is doing architecture, but it was just very, at least what I was doing, they required, to do some very simple project like bathrooms, and everyone wants the same bathroom, and everything is the same. And when you do it all the time, it just tends to get boring. So I turned to 3D because it was just my hobby, my passion, and then I turned to it, and I figured that whoa, this is actually a way for living, and yeah, that's how it started. And I don't even know why did I ended up here because nobody asked for it. Sorry. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to say that this is similar. Like you use 3D techniques that are similar. But with game dev, you can do everything you want in this 3D world, and this is what inspires me because you have no restrictions here aside of your time. You can just basically do everything you want. Neha, are you here?
I am here. I just didn't want to interrupt you. Megan said you can make Croft Manor with both of your skills.
I mean, yeah, that's actually, yeah, I do that a lot actually, like environments. I do it a lot because, you can only have 2 characters in the game, but we are actually a very small company and we do a lot of things, not just characters. So I have to do a lot of environments too, and it's also more creative for me because, as I said before, you have no limits and no restrictions, and you can get very creative with it. So that's a perfect fit for me when it comes to job.
Just so you know, we've been
Okay, so I
live for about not quite an hour, but almost an hour, and
whoa.
I think I know, right? I think the next segment. So the next segment begins in about an hour and 30 minutes from now. So I think maybe to give Susie a good half of this segment, we could hand it over to her in about 20 minutes, if that's okay for you.
That's totally okay, and I will just head straight to lights because somebody wanted to see how I do the lights. Um, cool. Whoa, the time flies so fast.
Yeah, it does. I told you.
Um, I know. I was so scared that this is not interesting enough, but whoa. Okay, so as you can see, I have some simple lights set up here, and I will actually delete this sphere that is doing the background. And I am going to load some scenery. that I previously uh, loaded here. The scenery is not made by me. I downloaded it. It's a free model. I forgot the creator's name, and I'm going to credit it once I release the art. But yeah, it was not made by me. I just wanted to have something that looks similar to a cave. Um, yeah. Okay, so with the lights, I'm gonna delete those just so you see how it's made.
Oh wow! So did you did you basically like with this back? Sorry, I'm like totally ignorant to all this, but did you make this like environment too? That you
Oh
basically
no,
just
no,
no.
yeah, I
Okay,
just
you just
said,
pulled it.
yeah,
Okay.
I got it from the internet. So this one is not made by me. Uh, and I am going to credit the artist once I release this render later because I just forgot his name. I'm sorry. But yeah, those stones are a downloaded models that were for free. And I just wanted some, quick and nice scenery for her. And I kind of have this vision where she stands between those rocks and there's the sea behind her. Yeah, just something similar to the actual cover of the game. Uh, okay, so it's time for the lights. I do have a HDR loaded, so this is kind of the like skybox, and it kind of gives me, if you, this is like the zero strength, and it kind of gives me some kind of like very ambient light. It's working very fine on Cycles engine that I'm not using. On Eevee, however, it doesn't work this good, so I'm just using it as a, base, uh, just so the shadows are not completely black. Now I'm going to set up the first light, which is going to be probably Aria. Also, if my pronunciation of those lights are, or anything in general, is wrong, please just correct me or something, because I never ever in my life spoke those names out loud. I just wrote them like all my life
Don't worry
in
about
my
it.
mind. I have no idea what the pronunciation is. Okay, so I usually like to start with the light from the back, and it's gonna hit her from the back. Just because in most cases, I think this is like one of the most impressive lighting setups when the light hits the character from the behind. It's always gonna look epic. This is my secret basically. So I'm giving you tips, people. Like I use it almost 90% of the time, um, and I wanna like increase the power. So you can see like here on the edges of her body, uh, people call it like the rim light, just because the light is kind of creating the rim on her body. So it's gonna look very nice, and it's also kind of separating the character from the background. I'm just gonna play with the shadows real quick so everything looks better. In Cycles you don't have those options. In Eevee you really have to, uh, spend some time to make the light look good. That's why I usually don't use Eevee. Yeah. And you can set some kind of color. I will use a very faint blue color because I want the weather to be kind of foggy and dark and just not friendly. Oh yeah, and you can see that her hair is kind of lighting up from behind. If I use the stronger light, if I were to use sun, it will
Oh,
just go crazy.
she looks like she's on the moon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Lara has been to the moon, right? So maybe it's high time.
Wonder how that would work.
Yeah. I mean, she would find a way to make it work for sure.
Scion J
Okay,
said he's Scion J said they're such a big fan of your work and it's so cool to see behind the scenes of your art. I
this is
agree.
so nice.
That is
Thank you so
exactly how
much.
I feel too. Big fan.
This is so nice. I mean, I had this fear of showing you behind the scenes because, I was always afraid that I'm gonna look like I don't know what I'm doing.
And yet you
And
look like the opposite.
I mean, I still feel like I don't know, but yeah. Thank you.
Everyone is like, when can I sign up for Konrad render classes? What?
Oh, that's actually a good idea, isn't it?
There you go.
A way for living. Okay, so right now I'm gonna set the light from the front, obviously, because we want to set some light on her face. Obviously, it's too strong, but you know, my another tip for lighting is that you don't really want to be very logical with it. Like you don't want to be like, oh, so the light is coming from behind and just from behind because she's in the cave. No, like you don't care if about the parts that are not in the camera. So you can set up the light like in front of her and just be like, okay, so the viewer will, you know, is smart enough to think there is some sort of light in front of her, and unless it's like very obvious that it's not in the right place, it's gonna work. So you have to be very creative with it. We can use some colors. Please don't be afraid of shadows because I know a lot of people are afraid of adding a shadow to a face. But I actually think that it makes everything look more dynamic. So I do encourage you to play with the shadows, the lights. Don't be afraid of the colors. I think it looks better from this angle actually. RTX on, yeah. I do have it. I do have RTX. But it's not that, like, it doesn't make that much of a difference, to be honest. Maybe it does in gaming, but not for the programs. Because they are very heavy on your graphics card anyways. And I doubt it's gonna change anytime soon. Even the Eevee renderer, it is supposed to be real time. It also requires some time to render, so as I said, you gotta be patient. Okay, so this is like very simple light setup. I just have 2 points. I think I'm going to add another one, and it's going to be very small, and it's going to be right in front of her face. Do I have the size of it? Oh, I have this one. And I add this light just so she has some kind of reflection in her eyes. It's kind of like emulating the reflection in her eyes. I don't know if you can see, but
Oh my god, her
reflection is
face looks
moving.
so good.
Thank you. I've spent years studying her face, so I think it paid off. I used to have a unhealthy obsession with this visual works CGI Lara. I was always trying to achieve like the same effect, and after like years of studying her face, I think this is the closest that I get. I'm glad
Well,
that you
it
appreciate
is
it.
stunning, so I think your
Thank
work
you.
paid off.
Thank you. Crystal Dynamics, hire me. I'm just kidding. Or am I? I don't know. Okay. So I can see her hair is clipping, and we don't like that. Okay. I'm gonna fix it real quick. What do we have?
Oh yeah, so we have about 9 minutes ish until we'll swap out with Susie.
Okay.
8 minutes just as I said that.
I did not expect it to go so fast.
Fly
For
by the
real.
day. But that just means that you have to do this again.
I will. I think I
I'm
will. This is
I'm gonna
very.
wait for it. I followed you on Twitter. I'm gonna wait for the hey guys, guess what? I created my own Twitch channel. Let's
I actually did, like, but I am not using it yet. I think I have to, just educate myself how it works, and yeah, I think it's very
Oh
possible.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not kicking Konrad out. I'm just saying that Susie would start streaming her art. Any of the awesome artists are welcome to be on Voice to talk to each other. I was just saying that we want to make sure that we spotlight equally their art too. So
Yeah.
that's all. I'm not gonna be like, all
Okay,
right, Konrad, get out of here.
your time is up. Okay, so what you see me do here is I added this kind of plane, and I want it to be water. So maybe you figured it out, but it's gonna reflect in the water, and her reflection will be the classic Lara. So this was my like original idea to have her. This kind of foreshadowing of the unified timeline and stuff like that. So here she will like reflect in the water as classic Lara. This is obviously gonna look like water soon. uh, we just have to give it a new material. Hi.
But now it looks like she's like in water or something.
Yeah, I was just saying that I want her to be in water, like it's her phi, and she's gonna reflect in the water as classic Lara. And yeah, that was my way of like subtle foreshadowing for unified Lara. That makes sense. Okay, so now I'm working on it to look more like water, and it's going to look like it soon. Is there a new game coming? I don't know. That's not a question for me, I'm sorry.
We have said a couple of times that there's no new game announcements this year, and that's all we can say about that.
Yeah.
I think we've got a few minutes. Oh my god, this water looks so cool though. But yeah, we have like a few minutes until we should swap over to Susie. Susie, if you want to come hang out and voice chat with us, you should come hang out on voice before you
Oh,
start.
yeah.
So, I know you're a little nervous. Maybe that'll help calm your nerves a little bit. Oh, she's here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Susie.
Hello.
Can
Good
hear you.
everybody.
Oh, I didn't even see you sneak in.
Hope you can hear me.
We can. We can.
Don't be nervous, it's all fine.
Is it that obvious? This is amazing. just
Oh, thank you.
mesmerized by this.
I was so stressed out, but it was totally pointless. You have to, it's just so fine, so nice.
Absolutely gorgeous. The water reflections. Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Oh yes, someone said, yeah, there is a game. Yeah, it's Angel of Darkness. It's coming. The remake is coming. The fan-made remake. I'm gonna give this water a little bit of transparency because it looks like it's not water.
Oh, I can see Keith's just joined. Keith, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we got a whole
Hello.
party.
Or a group of artists at a party. That could turn messy.
Yeah, so she's standing in the water. And I think that I'm just gonna show you the classic Lara, and we are getting closer to. I mean, my segment is almost finished.
Yeah. It's crazy how you can just switch them out.
I know, right? Yeah, so you have this classic Lara, and she will reflect in the water later. So you kind of have this idea of what the render is going to be. Obviously, I'm not able to finish it as a whole piece, but I do hope that you enjoyed this segment and that you learned something from me and about me. And I will release this render once it's finished, and I think that my segment is starting to. I mean, it's finished basically, right?
Thank
I
you
would
so much,
I would
Konrad.
love to thank you, Neha, for reaching out to me and giving me this opportunity because I am so happy, to be part of it. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you agreed to do this.
Yeah, it was so fun.
I have always secretly admired your renders every time they've popped up on my timeline, so it has been awesome to watch you working on one live.
It's just I mean, look, seeing you liking my stuff is great, but hearing this from you personally, it's making me so happy. You don't even know.
Aw.
Yeah, this is so nice.
Cool. Thank you so much again. I'm just gonna pop this intermission screen just real quick. We're still here. I just want while we switch from Konrad sharing his screen to Susie sharing, I will put back that scene once she is good to go.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Konrad.
you.
Obviously, you're welcome
Bye.
to hang out as long as you want while Susie's
I
drawing, but
will. I
yeah.
will. I want to see what Susie's up to.
All right, I'm
And
going to.
thank everyone for your comments. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to answer everything. I just cannot keep up with all those comments. But
Hey,
thank you. Oh, not so secret. Thank you.
thanks so much. It's been amazing. I've joined this stream from the beginning this morning. I fully admit I'm absolutely stocked up on Diet Coke and fizzy sweets, so I'm a bit on the roof at the moment because it's quite late here in the UK. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's been amazing. Just
I'm
the
sorry. It's a little hard scheduling some of these later hours. The later it got, I was like, oh no, because so many of the creators of the Tomb Raider community are in the UK and EU, and I'm like, how am I gonna find someone for like 5 o'clock in the morning? What am I gonna do then? So it was a
no,
challenge. So
it,
I thank you for being here when it's getting a bit late for you. Hopefully it'll make up for it. Just us hanging out with you and everything.
absolutely, yeah, even suits me just fine. I've been watching the speed runs this morning and everything was brilliant, and then I really enjoyed that game earlier. That was great fun. So I hope everyone else has had as much of a good time as we have had today. Because and I appreciate being part of this is like a dream come true. So thank you. um, So in terms of drawing, similar to Conrad, the process does take quite a long time, and I didn't want to put you guys through the monotony of some of it. So in the words of a program that we have here called Blue Peter, here's one I made earlier. But what I can do, I will take on, and if you have any drawing questions or any specific drawing niggles that you're not quite sure, I can take that on board. I can show you how to do that as well live if that's useful. So do bang the questions over in the chat, and I'll try to answer as many as I can.
Yep, and I will help. I will help direct questions to Susie while she's drawing.
So I'll talk through what I've done layer-wise, just so you can sort of get an understanding of where I've got to this point, and then I can start coloring from there. So if I run through really quickly, it's a bit strange. I tend to draw my lines 3 times. So I will have a very rough skeleton. I've got the live feed with me, so hopefully I'm just checking it as you guys go. Okay, yeah. So I've got the rough layouts with me. Then I will go over them with a slightly more rough and ready, more filled out. Then I'll go over them again with a slightly more neater. Hopefully that's going to load. Slightly more neater, slightly more filled out. And then I would then go in at that point, do the complete neat line work and the complete colour flats. So by colour flats, what we mean is we just put the flat colours on that we require. And then we can put all the shades in, and that's the exciting bit, right? Because flats, I'm sure Keith will back me up here, takes a very, very long time, and it's very slow. So I've done that bit in advance, so we can do the fun part now. Okay, so this is going to be. Sorry,
just checking. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
you.
I'm super excited for this because I never understand how people draw digitally, so I can draw anything. So I'm really excited to watch this.
Well, I do prefer digital, I must say. I've got sort of a degree in art and design, and I do like the more traditional mediums as well, like oil paints and things like that. But I think digital gives you a lot more freedom, but you still need to understand the basic principles of art, should I say, which again I'm very happy to run through, or we could go through just as a foundation for digital art, and then you have all the freedom in the world with all the amazing tools that we've got. It's so much fun. So in terms of the Lara that we have here, obviously this is from Rise, because we're Rise month now, aren't we already? So we're flying through them. And in terms of the colour flats, what I've done is laid the foundation, and then we're going to look at the lighting. So obviously we're going to have the ice, we're going to have the flare, and so it's going to be quite fun. I'm conscious I've never done a stream before, so bear with me. Yeah, any questions, do just fire them over. I'm conscious about going really quiet. Let me. So what I tend to do in terms of lighting, you need to think about where your light sources are coming from. So if we're looking at this again, at the moment, we know that a light source is going to be the flare here. We know that a light, it's going to be quite dark from the back because Lara's facing out. Sorry, I'm now lagging myself. There we go. There we go. And then we're going to have light around this ice. So we're going to have a lot of reflection of light and refraction of light. And similar to what Konrad mentioned earlier, was the pin light. It will probably be all around next here. So that would be the primary thing, is when you're laying out your piece, think about where your lighting's going to fall. Let me delete that.
So are you self-taught, or did you go to school, or where did you pick up all of this knowledge?
It's a bit of both, really. I got the degree in it's animation and design, but I tended to not go ahead with the animation part. Similar to yourself, Konrad, actually, I started doing all the 3D elements of it, and then found that maths was involved, and it was like, okay,
I'm leaving.
I mean, this already looks great. Like, it looks almost like a finished piece. Like, wow.
Oh, thank you. But and then the rest of it's primarily self-taught. There is I do quite a lot of comic book work, and there's a guy called Ed Hoychuk. He's very, very good. Highly recommend that. There's how to draw comics, and that's where I learned a lot of the stuff from him that I put in today. But I've been drawing Lara for a very long time. Sorry, I'm talking, I'm not painting. Sorry, bear with me a second. I actually was in, I don't know if you remember, the Tomb Raider comics, when they came to the UK, they were in a larger A4 print size. A very, very old Tomb Raider artwork of mine was in the back of one of those. So that's going back some. So,
oh, that's cool. So like one of the fan corner things?
That's right, yeah, at the
awesome.
very so very different to now, but it was still with them from all that time ago.
It's amazing. You can go back and actually see people like Tiff, the Alien cosplay, or like young cosplayers or artists that we know now in those comics in the very back.
Yeah,
it's like going back in time. I love it.
So in terms of this, I'm just laying down a very rough and ready sort of palette on there, where I know the red's going to be reflecting on there. I might this again. I'm a messy artist, should we say? Keith's seen this firsthand when we were doing our collab. It was all very all over the place until he came round and sorted it out for us. So I'll put that in. And in terms of the darker colour, now I have a go-to colour. I'm giving away my secrets now. I have a go-to colour for any of my shading because it's just a very useful colour. It's this lovely purple here. So if anybody wants to screenshot that and pinch that colour with a tool picker, that's what I use all the time. And in terms of that colour, I tend to just, again, very soft brush. This is just laying a foundation of the lighting and the colour. So all of this will be rendered and look very neater and tidier, and we'll put this through within the next hour. Equally, I know that I work quite quick. I don't want to rush this too much, but what I'm doing, I'm putting these on sort of multiply layers as well. So it's just putting that little variation in shade and tone that it gives me a chance to work with. Oh, but please do interrupt, Sparks. Please come in. join the club.
Oh my gosh, hi. I hope I'm not being too loud.
No, not at all. To answer the question,
looks amazing.
Why does she only have one pickaxe? Totally honest with you, I didn't draw two. Probably should have done, but I could maybe put the other one in later on.
She lent the other one to Jonah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, when she fell.
He forgot to bring one, so.
So again, it's just very basic foundation. So this is where we go in and gets a bit more fun. You get a bit more. Let's zoom in onto Lara's face here. Again, it's the same colour. And I go in with more of a square tip brush. And it's just thinking about where
her
things
face
are done.
is...
Oh, thank you.
Super beautiful.
So beautiful.
I love how it's stylized. It almost looks like a, Pixar character. It's very pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a mix between Disney and like Michael Turner. Like it's got a very unique feeling to it. That's very
I know,
unique.
right?
You've just made my day. He's just about to say he has my absolute influence, big time.
Yeah.
My absolute influence, and Andy Park as well. Smiling like a Cheshire cat now. So again, I don't do anything fancy at this point. I'm just going in and putting where I think the darker shadows would be. And at the moment, it is this purple sort of colour. It's my go-to colour again. But then this is the joy of digital, because we can go in and change that capacity to multiply, that layer to multiply, and drop the opacity of that down. And you see it gives you that lovely sort of multiply colour there.
It's magic.
It is, isn't it? It's just the joy of digital. And that's the thing with digital. You can go in and you can change it up and muck around with it. And whereas if you were doing this with a more traditional medium, it's a little bit. You have to think about it a little bit more. So, I'd have to think about if I was drawing this, I'd draw it out and then I'd lay out where the highlights would be. I'd lay out where the darks would be, and I'd have to mix that particular tone in my colour palette and put it in, so that's where it goes slightly bit more complex, but you can still achieve the same result even with that. So, and at the moment, I said about rim light and everything, I'm not putting that in at the moment. I'm just blocking in where I think basic shades would be. And obviously, we've said that we have a light source here from, I'm just conscious this is lagging, sorry. We have a light source here from Lara's hand there. So I just need to think about where that comes into play. But I never really have a plan as such. I just tend to go for it, see what looks nice, see what needs changing.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but someone asked, are you using a mouse or a pen for this?
Yeah, it's a pen, so it's a Wacom pen, yeah, and a Wacom tablet. Drawing with a mouse, if you can do it, it's an absolute credit. That is, it's very difficult to draw with a mouse.
It is, yeah.
The only tip I would say. So
can you explain to me, like, I'm 5. So you're working on different layers right now. So I use Photoshop a lot. I went to school for graphic design, but never learned illustration. So you're using different layers and brushes that just, you said, do the opacity on top of the layers that you're painting on top, the shadows on top of the art you already did.
That's right. Yeah, that's correct. So
okay.
Everything is on. So to give you an idea of how many layers we've got in here at the moment, if I take some of these, off. So bearing in mind we're not even at finishing stages yet. I am set in my ways. I'm a very old school style of doing things, so I'm sure there's probably quicker ways of doing this. But one thing I tend to do, so after I've done my, let me take the roughs out. Let me put the neats. So they're the neats. There's the neat lines. Let me take those away. I will go in and grayscale everything. So that's basically giving a variety of different greys to each section, and this comes into play a bit later on with the color, for example. So one of the things they do it in the industry, I believe, from what I've learned. But basically, what to do if the overall color scheme for this is example, we know it's cold tones, it's blue. We have got some sort of warm tones in Lara's jacket, etc. But to make Lara stand out from it, this is going to seem very strange, but towards the end, we will actually use that grey colour. Actually, let me show you now. Rather than doing it in the end, I can show you now. If I've got this grey colour here, I will probably take a warmer colour. This is going to sound really crazy, but take a warmer colour. Fill Lara in with that warmer colour completely. I probably won't use orange. We'll play around with it at the end. And what will happen is when you put that in with the rest of it, let me bring it all back. You need Lara to stand out, and what it creates a sense of depth. So with all the different colours that we have here, all the different grayscales that we have, all of them would be assigned a different colour, and it would create a bit more depth. So if I pull that colour over the Lara flats there, so she's like this really crazy orange right now. But I play around with all the different layer settings you can have. Again, drop the opacity down and have a look through. So even though we're putting a warm colour on there, so I tend to use different things, it will separate Lara from the background so she has more punch.
Yeah, totally. That's super cool.
So just a little hand tip there, and then the thing is, I might even put like a bright green in the background or a bright, and then at the end, what you would do is your overall picture, everything over the top, for example. I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but we'll go through it at the end. But we might get. I'm not a fan of green. But I'll do it as an example. We'll put a green over the whole picture, and again, change the different layer settings, bring the opacity down a bit, and that unifies your entire color profile. So even though you've got those different things in there, it will unify the palette, but Lara will still be being pushed forward for beyond. Does that make sense? She's being pushed
that's super cool.
Yeah, so that's a little hint there.
For some reason, I didn't realize that you had control over so many of the layers during the entire process. So that's good because we can keep playing around with things and kind of figure out the palette you like, right?
Absolutely, and you can change it as much as you like. Sometimes you'll do it, it'll be like bright. You put a bright pink on there, it doesn't quite work, but you can just drop it in, and that's where the grayscale comes in handy. Because if you had the flats, for example, and with all the variation in the flats in Lara's jacket and things like that, well, for me, I don't know the tools that well, but you'd be selecting it, and it would all get a bit. But when you take that out of the equation and you've only got the greys underneath, even if I take out that, you're just selecting the greys.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes the process quicker, really.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So I've just seen a question there. For the shades and highlights, is it better to tweak opacity or play with blend mode? A mixture of both, really. But you could drop opacities right down. So if we go to this green layer again, it's on a 27% multiply layer, so it's multiplying across the thing. But for me right now, that's currently not working. That's too green for me. So I could go through all the layers and think pin light are quite, that's way too much. And I can drop the opacity right down and say, that's maybe 5%, still not liking it. What's the exclusion look like? Exclusion looks a little bit better, a bit more punchy, but then if I turn up the opacity, it looks awful. So it's just playing with both of those settings. And in terms of the blending, let me take that green off, sorry, just in green, if anybody loves green, but yeah. I'm not a fan of green. In terms of the blending, if I go back into my layer, so this is what's dangerous when you have loads of layers. You can never find the layer you were working on in the first place. Not one of those organised people that name them all. So if we go back into check I'm on the right layer. Yeah. In terms of blending, absolutely, that's something that I will tend to go in. So this, for example, if we were having harsh lights, which we're going to have eventually, but maybe not so much around the neck here, you'd get the blend tool or an airbrush tool, whichever suits you, and you literally just go in and you blend it out slightly, not by much, because it's that sort of comic book look.
Mm-hmm.
So you just blend it out a little bit, and it gives you. You don't have to do it everywhere. Depends the kind of look that you're going for. But when we look at this here, this is quite. One of the things, I'm going to drop that down because it's too dark for me. One of the things is less so difficult to do digitally, but it's to not let your picture get muddy. So you don't want browns, too much brown in there and things. So when Lara's face is like this, what we'll tend to do is go in and put a bit of red on the cheeks, a bit of red on the nose and the ears, and it gives that more skin feeling.
I love how you can explain everything you're doing. I mean,
I
couldn't.
Exactly. So professional. Like, oh my god.
Thank you.
Yeah, it must be so. You have so much more freedom working on digital to go back and fix mistakes or to play around with things. So like at the end, if you wanted to, you could totally just do like a second version where Lara's like wearing red and green and has a Santa hat, like she's like an elf or something, right? Like you can completely change it up the colors afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that's so cool.
One of the best things, you can put a layer. If I get to that point at the end, we can put a layer over the top, and you can change the hue, the saturation, and have a right play with the whole lot of it, and see what you might. Lara might end up blue, but it's always
some
good
sort
for
of Star Trek alien color.
yeah. But let me just go back. Yeah, still happy to take on any questions, or if there's anything you want me to go back and sort of show how I lay out a skeleton foundation or anything like that, just let me know. Or if you're enjoying the colour stream, then I'll just carry on with that. Oh, sorry, my system's lagging. There we go. We might go for it. I tend to do this. I go for some brushes, so let's speed this up. So again, I'm just thinking about where that lighting is. If we're going to have this here, we're going to have a lot of lighting around our arm. It's going to be darker under here.
Mic test.
Put that down. There we go. Drop that down so it's not quite under the right layer. Let's do that. There we go. Okay. Obviously, you're going to have it darker under certain areas without going into too much detail. Again, I'm not, I'm not going over every tiny thing like this. I'm just sort of doing it in blocks of colour instead.
Someone had a question about what program you're using, what software you're using right now.
So this is Clip Studio Paint. So this is Clip Studio Paint with my Wacom tablet. So I've got a Wacom Cintiq at the moment, and the pen. So I've moved from Photoshop. I used to have Photoshop, but I actually find Clip Studio Paint a bit more user-friendly and a bit more intuitive. So yeah, and I think Clip Studio Paint is like a one-off purchase as well. I think it's like 40 quid and that's it. Sorry, 40, I'm not sure what that is in dollars, but it's 40 £40. Yeah, and then that's it. You own it. Whereas I think it gets a bit pricey with Photoshop because you pay a monthly subscription.
Yeah, I can get that. The Adobe Suite gets expensive.
Yeah, it does. When they add bits on, it's like, oh, you got this a month. Oh, I'm not buying that anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There's this. I feel like a lot of the artists I know that do illustration have been using something else. I think it might start with a P. I can't remember, but it's a really popular. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
or something?
Wait,
I think Keith knows. I think it's Pencil Psi.
Yeah, like I know Tholia uses it a lot. I've been seeing a lot of people use it lately, and I'm wondering what's so special about it. I'm not sure. I will figure it out in a second. It's going to drive me crazy if I don't remember. Don't mind me while I look.
Okay. Susie, I have a weird question.
Yeah, go for it.
Is there a color that you hate to work with? As in, like, you cannot make it work in an artwork or whatever. Does that make sense? Like, for example, I don't like working with green.
Yeah, same. Green. Green is a really difficult color. I don't know what it is. I just find, in the color palette, you've got all those other nice cold colors. If you do at the color wheel, you've got all your lovely purples and blues and variations and your pinks. And green is good in some circumstances. You've got the foliage of the forest and stuff. But even when you're on that green, you're looking at the forest greens and the dark greens and the sort of the yellow umbers, and it's all that kind of the word I'm looking for, organic looking greens. Whereas those very bright, vibrant greens is what I struggle to get into a piece of work. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it's strictly for me.
I know you answered like half of this question already, Susie, but someone asked, how long did it take you to develop your own style? Were you inspired by someone else, or were you looking for some references maybe?
Yeah. So in terms of Michael Turner, Andy Park, very much the Tomb Raider comic books. I've got the anthologies and that here. I've got that from the get go. Looking at them really. Some of I suppose they've been my biggest influences. And in terms of how long it took to develop, I think you still continue to develop. I think I still am, and that's not a cop out.
Never stop. No, I mean, I would imagine artists never stop. You should always keep kind of refining and growing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one of the biggest things is collabs. So I had with Keith and I done a collab together on Tomb Raider 4, The Last Revelation. So it's the one that we put out to the community there, and we learned so much from each other during that. It was. Sorry, I'm such I can't do two things at the same time. Right, sorry. That was such a good experience. I found that really helpful because initially my work was very quick, rush, and Keith helped with that. We sort of slowed down. I slowed down, and he was teaching me how to do certain things slower. Should we say?
Oh, Susie,
no
did you
pressure,
read the...
but I think
yeah, that's Brennock. I don't know if you saw
That's
Susie, but he said that he's creeping and watching you kill it, Susie.
Oh my!
Oh.
Bren, we need to do one of these with you sometime.
And he says, "Hi, Susie."
Hi! Oh my gosh! Sorry, I'm starstruck now. That is an honour. Thank you very, very much.
So the name
I'm
of the app I
jealous.
was looking for is Procreate. I guess a lot of people are using that now. I've
Oh,
seen lately.
yeah.
Is there a specific reason why it's so popular?
That's on. Is that iPad specific? That one, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's it, because it's just it's made for, kind of going and sketching on the go or something.
Yeah. I did try the iPad actually, and I did like drawing on it, but I found it didn't have as much. It was a bit slidey. I think you can get like a paper that you can put over the top of it, but yeah, it's definitely. I think it's a good little piece of kit that from what I've seen from it, what you can achieve in it. I think the touch points on the Apple Pencil are really good actually.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Okay, so that's like the very. Oh, I've missed her hair at the back. Can't do that.
Excuse me.
This is like that's the very basics, should we say?
Testing.
I'm not going to do the background so much yet. I'm going to concentrate on Lara still, because let's face it, we're all here for Lara, really. not for Ice in the background.
Background does look cool though, but
if we get to there, we'll get to that. So right. Then I start another layer. So I really overdo on the layers. I'm pretty sure. So we've got this lovely sort of red hue around here, but it's not, it's a bit flat. It's not really doing much for us at the moment. So in terms of again, I keep referring back to the colour wheel, but it is really important when it comes to colour. But don't be afraid of colour as well. Stick the bright colours in, not bright green, but stick the bright
green. It's not easy being green.
yeah. But in terms of if we're doing this flare, and we know this flare is going to be lovely and bright and red, so we want that warm tone from it with Lara in this very cold environment. Which, by the way, the snowy Tomb Raider levels are the best.
Exactly.
In every single
the snow
one.
is so pretty there.
Yeah, from Tomb Raider 1 to Shadow is the well, I don't think I got a snow level, but yeah, they are the absolute best. And yeah, I tend to go, and that's my absolute love for them. So we can make this. So we want to put really warm tones in here to what's the word I'm looking for? It's not contradict, but complement it. Sorry, that's my elbow going across the desk. So that's just putting it on a color dodge, dropping it down. That's not quite working for me, so let's put it on a glow. That's something I never really have a plan. It's just
vibing.
Yeah, just going and seeing what looks best. Overlay's not really working for me. I'm not really liking Vivid Light either, because the reason I'm not liking it is I'm losing that tone. I'm losing that lovely orange and colour when it's.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, let's go with that. If we like that, let's do that. And then again, I'll put another layer on. We're going to go a bit brighter. We're going to put another yellow on that. So we're going to go again. We're going to put a little bit of that around the outside. Again, let's have a look. Glow dodge. No, that's horrible. Add glow. Let's drop it down a bit and see what we get with that. Okay. These aren't too bad. Yeah, so I think if we go with.
I think you could make even cooler reflections on her glasses.
Yeah, you are way ahead of me. Yeah, that's where we're headed. That's where we're going. So that's actually the next layer. So now that we have this sort of glow, actually the red is a little bit bright for me. Now we put the other ones. Let's drop that down a bit. Because the thing what we don't want to happen is that take the attention off of Lara. So that's when it comes down to composition and thinking about that a little bit. So another little tip really in terms of composition when you're thinking about composition is to make sure that you don't have anything going off in a direction. So generally a person's eye will look from left to right in a Z shape. So you look left, across, down, diagonally and back, so a Z shape. So no, I'm talking about it on here. So basically like this. And what can happen if you're, say for example, you can see I've got Lara here, this arm is bringing, and the hair is bringing the eye back round to Lara's gun. Lara's gun's pointing down, and sort of the ice is bringing your eye back in. And
That's
this
cool.
eye's back up. So, because what can tend to happen if, for example, I had Lara's arm, let me just do this right, going off in this direction for some reason or doing something, my eye's going to go across here, down here, across here, and just disappear off the page. It's not going to, you will get there eventually, but naturally, it's only a blink, it's only a second. But some things like that do matter when it comes to things like that, because you want to look aesthetically pleasing. That's one of the things to think about with composition. You know, don't take your viewer's eye off of the overall page. No, hopefully that's helpful. Okay.
Yeah, there's so much thought that goes into the composition and the colors and everything. That's so cool to hear someone explain. You just don't think of it necessarily when you look at a piece, unless you're an artist, but you just know, oh, that feels nice or that feels balanced, but you don't necessarily know why.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things, when you talk about balance, I'm just going to hide that for a second and just show you how messy it is. But in terms of balance, it's really important as well. I mean, we also have a line of action, and sometimes it's only slight, but it matters. So if we had say a straight line like that, and we had a straight, it's going to be really messy, a straight Lara like this, and we put her arms out, and yeah, it's okay, but it's a bit flat. So if we took our line of action and curved it ever so slightly, and general rule of thumb is you know these shoulder points here, if you lean them in, and it's about compression, so this is our compression and this is our extension, and that's a nice way of thinking about how you lay out your figure and where the center point of gravity is. So Lara's a woman, so on the women the center point of gravity is around that area. So essentially you put Lara's legs. We know that this leg, so you have to think about how the body moves, because if you move one piece of the body, the rest of it moves. So but one of the best things to do is just stand up and do it yourself, really. So you stand up, tilt your hips slightly, and you know that this leg's going to sort of stretch and the other leg's going to bend slightly.
Yeah.
And so you know that knee's going to be slightly above and slightly under. So you just think about where things are going to go, if her leg's going to be slightly out. And it just already gives a bit more character. Just from a slight, essentially, tilt of these two areas and a slight curve on the line of action, rather than having a sort of soldier.
Yeah.
Sense.
So do you use, like, do you look at live, like I know there are resources where you can look at specific model poses, or do you have one of those like little figures, or do you just do it like you said yourself, just look in the mirror and kind of figure out what the shift in weight is and all of that?
All three, to be honest with you. Yeah, I've got this very scary looking figure that I got from Japan. I forget she's in the cupboard. I'll have to post a picture up of her for you guys later. I forget that she's in the cupboard. I open it up and it's like, But it's very clever. Like, her eyes move around and her arms. It's got the human limitation on it, should I say? So if you, I'm not on camera, I can't really show you, but you put your arm out. If you had your arm out in front of you right now and you twisted your wrist, you can only take that so far. So you have that physical limitation, and that model includes that physical limitation. So I can't go outside of human boundaries.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a really good one to use. But she's for anime, actually, so her head and her neck's quite extended. So I have to still vary when using that, and she's got very large feet. But yeah, that's pretty good. And there's an Sensei stock. I'm saying that right. They're very, very good for figure reference as well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So yeah, I mean, I can carry on colouring in if there's any questions on the chat. If there's anything more that you want me to go through about how I actually set up a Lara figure or how I do the face or anything like that, just let me know and we can step into that if that would be more interesting. Or yeah, let me know if any of the other artist guys want to step in while I colour away. Diesel.
Yeah, it looks like you just got raided by a pretty big party, so that's awesome. Welcome everyone.
Oh wow! Thank you for the raid, Kriegstro.
Thank you.
Well, I guess that's us. We got raided. I don't know.
We did get raided.
I don't know what's that.
Thank you.
I'm still learning terminology. I'm very, very new to Discord and Twitch. I'm feeling my age somewhat right now. Okay, so if I go back to and once again, because I haven't name your layers, folks. Because I haven't named my layers, I've now lost my thing. But let's go back in anyway. So sorry. Yes, you were quite right. We were going to look at the shades on the glasses here. So if we're looking at where our red is here, so we know. Let me go get some red. So I'm just gonna layer it on thick. Make sure. Tell you what, I'm not trusting myself, so I'm going to put it on a new layer. Going to highlight some red at the edge here because we know that's where it's going to be. We know that it's hitting a little bit here. Because this is slightly raised and it's heading towards the sun, we could put a little bit here. Again, no plan. I just lay it down, see how it looks. If it doesn't look right, quite like Omega said, and just go in and delete it. So obviously the hair, we're going to have red here. And importantly, her eyes, this side of her face is going to be considerable because we've got it here. Nose.
You are so good with colors. I'm obsessed.
Oh, thank you. Colour is the most fun bit, and I think this is why it was important to focus on this today. I think it might have been quite a slow dream for you guys. Oh no! See, so here we go. Here I've made a mistake. So we're going to have this light here, but Lara's arm is going to be covering some of that. So I've gone too far. So again, it's just thinking about where the light's going to hit some of this. We're coming down into this section. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Keith to come and tell me off and say, "Look at job."
Oh wait, I thought of something where you can add more reflections. Is it water that's dropping down around
Above
Lara?
This is ice. So primarily focusing on Lara at the moment, but it definitely be having it on the ice. You'd be having it certainly around this area. Maybe not quite so bright. Obviously, I'm just laying it down at the moment, but we'd go in and we'd take that out and change it.
Sorry, I'm being annoying.
No, please do. This is absolutely right. Is that way of thinking. It's thinking about where is the light going to fall. So if we go through for a quick second, let's do glow dodge. There we go. So if you change that to a glow dodge, we're already getting that lovely sort of. Take it down a bit because it's a bit harsh.
It's cool.
Go in. This is again going back to using that blend tool because it is quite useful. We don't have to use a blend tool. Another way of doing it is to click the colour you've got and use like a soft brush to blend it out and mix colours. There's no rules for this. Everyone does it their own way, differently. It's just the way I'm used to doing it. And this is just going in, softening out some of this again.
That Norse chick said, how did you decide on your color palette?
Yeah, so in terms of the environment of the colour palette's laid out for me with Lara from the amazing work that the guys have done with the character sheets. So that's perfect. So literally just, I don't pick the colours from there because sometimes it doesn't quite work well, but I get to near on what I think would be useful from there. And then in terms of the rest of the colour palette, because it's icy and it's cold, and I'd be going for that cold section on the colour palette. So anything from there. So anything that's like the purples, the greens, the pink, that kind of it. And then that's when we come in and think we know we want the flare, because we don't want this to be all blue. So if we get the flare in there and we've got the warmth of Lara's colours. But what happens is when you put, if our palette is primarily blue and cold colours, when we put the warm colours on, we don't want them to be at their brightest. So let me go for this pink. If we put I don't know, where should I put it? If I put this pink on Lara's arm, we don't want it that bright pink, because that's not going to get what we want. So you drop the opacity down of the colour just slightly, so you still got that variation of colour, but it's not in your face. Does that answer the question? If not, let me know.
It looks so good. I just don't know what else to say, honestly.
Thank you. But the main thing, the primary thing, is just to enjoy yourself. You've got to enjoy what you do. And I could sit for hours. I stick soundtracks on and just go for it, really.
Do you have favorite music you listen to while working on art?
Yeah, it's primarily soundtracks, to be honest with you. They do the thing, and it's all sorts of, you've got Tomb Raider, obviously, Pirates of the Caribbean. There's a Spotify's just all completely soundtracks. Right, and in typical fashion, no, there it is. There's a layer. I think that's the right one. No, it's not.
How long does it usually take you to complete a piece?
Probably, realistically, about maybe 6 hours.
You are so fast.
But then again, I'm not the neatest in the world. I could probably slow down and neaten up a little bit. I'm going to put a bit more in these glasses, because they're not hitting it for me right now. With anything, you just got to do what feels right for you. If you wanted Lara to be purple and pink, and chuck those colours in, see what it looks like. So, for example, like this, I've chucked this in here. I don't like there really. And I'm focusing on just this top half at the moment. But then to show you what I'd go in and refine it, I'd go in.
Sir Laguna says, welcome, or hi, watching from Colombia. I love meeting fans from all over.
There's a question above that as well. No, 3D art. Yes, I did. I tried animation, actually, at university, and I struggled because it involved a lot of maths. So when we had to do a project together, you'd go up as a team and things like that. We would, when they said to me, you have to think about the polygon count and is it the right word? I'm not sure if topology is the right word, but basically it's the contours of the lines on the character. You can't have any breaks because the neck would have a hole in it and things. It suddenly became too complicated for me. And so I became known as the storyboard queen at college and uni. So I ended up doing the storyboards for the guys, and the guys would then turn it into the characters and the animations. So stuck with the team. It requires patience. I do not have that patience, I'm afraid. So what I would tend to do is go in. So again, this is just the basics, but I would go in and refine this even more now. So to give it that comic book. So we have some areas that I haven't quite showed out yet. Again, it's that lovely purple, my favourite purple. Old reliable. Just works such a charm. But yeah, just thinking about areas, and we know it's going to be very dark around the back of her neck. So this is where I will put some rim light in here at the end, but this is where you get. So, for example, we got the reflections off of the ice and that, for example. Let me do again. No plan. If I put that on multiply again, drop it down because we know it's going to be quite dark in that area. Because
Testing.
Oh, we can
hello.
hear you.
Wait, you can hear me?
We can hear
Yeah.
you.
We can hear you.
You
Oh
did
my god, I'm so.
it.
I can't believe it. I've been trying for an hour.
Oh, poor Keith.
Yeah.
When you did the testing with me, it worked right away. So I'm surprised it was giving you trouble.
I'm so annoyed. Do you know what it was?
What? Uh-oh.
I have to run Discord as administrator. I am so annoyed.
Oh, I do that all the time just as like a practice. Yeah. Oop.
Okay, I'm here. Thank God. Susie, you're doing amazing. This looks beautiful.
Just I'm very conscious. I'm trying to make sure I give you guys some tips and tricks as well. So again,
I
I'm
mean,
just
you're
looking.
doing great. Guys, don't expect that from me for my segment because I won't be able to do that.
Yes, you would.
It's
Mm.
it's nice
Oh.
to get tips and tricks, and it's also nice to just kind of zone out and relax and watch someone work. So both of them have merits.
I think
Yeah, it's
tomorrow for me
also,
it's going to be a lot of zoning out.
Oh, exactly.
but it's so fascinating to see, different styles and how people, do this differently, just having their own techniques.
Shading out just almost like the ends of where I'm placing shading and things, just to, I know it just looks a bit better again. Just about being very quiet here. So she's getting a bit more depth to her and everything. If you look at the legs here, there it's sort of like, okay. We've got all this structure down here that I haven't really done anything with. So to think about, again, these are going to be quite dark because the lights. Oh, I say that like you're going to have light reflecting off of the ice and things like that as well, so that will come together. Again, no plan. The biggest thing I think I've ever been taught is just be free with it, because what I tended to do. So I'll show you really quickly. Over those layers again. One of the things that I used to do many years ago is getting on. I would draw like this, very slowly, very just like little. I call them chicken scratches. Very, and the best thing to do is commit to your line. So just chuck it in, tuck it in. It doesn't matter how it looks. Just chuck, because you can always come in. It's really dodgy, but you can always come in and correct it. And while we're on eyes, I've got a little tip for eyes. I call it the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 method. So it's literally 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and that's the foundation for how I would lay out my eye. So, and then you just, I don't know what it's called, you got that little bit in the middle there, and then I tend to put...
I'm sure that thing has a name, but I have no idea what it's called. Oh wait, is that like your tear duct, I suppose?
That's it, thank you.
Like maybe I do know.
So that, and again, but that is obviously, that's actually the eyelid and the eye shape that we're looking at there. Let me just put like a thing in it. We'd have like the eyelashes and things there, but when you're doing the eye, I suppose the thing to think about with the placement, I think it's extremely rough, but we'd have is that is just the eye. You need to consider the eyeball. So when you're placing your eyes on Lara, have a circle sphere. Sorry, I'm lagging. Come on. Sorry, guys. It's just thinking about it. There we go. Put a cross through it. And where you want your eye to face. So you want the eye to face this way, and then you put the circle in the middle. And then when you're looking at the eye, it's actually not doesn't stick out this way, it goes this way. The concave, convex, I can never get to. But the eye actually sits in. So if you've had the eye side view, on yellow, your eye wouldn't be sticking out like this. It would be actually sat in a bit like that. So it's just something to consider when you have the eye from sort of the side view. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think of little ideas that I have here. And then in terms of laying out a Lara, this is the easiest platform that I have. It's just like this little, what would you call that, a vase or a U shape with a line on it, I'm not sure. And you just mirror the same thing upside down, and that's literally the top and the hips there. And one little tip that I actually do find extremely useful: if Lara's arms are behind her, you do like a half circle around that, and that will show you that the arms are going to come down this way and it's going to be in front, sorry, behind. But if you were doing that the other way, we'll do that there, and do the circles in front, then Laura's arms are going to be coming forward, in front of you. And that's a useful kind of thing with perspective. It's only slight perspective, it's not right in front of you, but it gives you a bit of idea of, a bit of a guideline. If they're facing back, you know that they can go back. And I don't know what they're called again, the collarbones or whatever will be facing that way, and your collarbones will be pointed in, whereas they will pointed back. Again, I hope that's useful. Right, I'll get back to the task at hand. Okay. I'm really nervous because I can see Brenosh's name in the chat.
You ruined the surprise. No, I'm kidding. He's trying to get his headphones to work.
Sorry, guys.
He'll be back. He's
He'll
fixing something.
I'm going to stay quiet. Right. So again, it's just putting a bit more. And see, again, I'm very loose, very free. It's just when you start putting the lighting in, it creates those forms and puts Lara in her environment. How about everyone on the chat? Are you all artists? You're just into drawing. You've got the websites or what you want to share? Because while we're here, one thing I did want to say, we are starting a collaboration, and the plan is to have the biggest.
I almost forgot. Thank you for freaking out.
I always forgot myself. Is to have the biggest Lara Croft Tomb Raider collaboration art ever. And basically, yeah, we wanna get as many artists together as possible. And basically, it's hashtag No Lara Left Behind, and it was born out of a conversation. Actually, I was going to collab again with Keith and then Claire Waller, so at the Dark Whimsy on Twitter. We were going to all get together. Hi Claire. We were going to get together and do something for that. And then it just became a mass thing, didn't it, Keith? Because then the conversation was, oh, okay, well, I've got some mates that'd be interested in this. Let's bring them into the chat. So we brought them into the chat, and it just developed from there, didn't it?
It really just exploded instantaneously. And I think I really have to shout out to Rick. That's on Twitter at official Rick. Go follow him. He's an amazing artist. Because we were talking about having doing a collaboration 2 years ago, and then it never happened. And then finally, at the start of this year for Tomb Raider 1 month, we decided, yeah, we'll finally do it. And it was so much fun. And then it just kind of kept going from there with other artists. There was Jack at Jack I'm so bad with Twitter names, but I will put all of it up there. And yeah, it's kind of spiraled from there, and I think it's really going to be so much fun, especially to see what we have at the end. The more Laras we get, the better it's going to be.
Yeah.
So what is the actual end result of it? Are you guys collaborating on a bunch of different things, or one thing, or?
It's going to be one massive. It's not, I don't know if it's going to be a collage. It's going to be like a collage or a montage. We haven't. Want to get all the Laras together first, and then as a group, we're going to work together in putting them into one massive piece. And the stuff we've had so far is absolutely incredible. The artists and the creativity that we have in the Tomb Raider community is just stunning. And I have got a list of names, and I did want to shout out, if that's okay, to the guys that have done it so far.
Yeah.
So obviously we've got Keith on the call. We've got shout out to Claire, Dark Winsy, Anastasia, El Pez Diablo, Jack R, Natasha Lane, I'm saying this wrong, Psychedelic Saber, Baconetta 3, Danny Abraham, Adam Lindsay, Official Rick, Parisian Princess Janice, Lazy Lillian, Liam Ogley, Charlie Redfern, at Doppel ZGZ, Camellia, and Sparks JV. So they're everybody that we have had so far.
It's incredible how many people have joined already.
So if you do want to have your work included in that, please do send it across. We'll put the website. It's on my Twitter at Susie Gander as well, so you can just pick it up from there. It's basically your favourite Lara on a white background, and we want no Lara left behind, basically. So I was even thinking of putting the old passport Lara in, the dodgy passport picture.
I saw her on Twitter yesterday.
She's still a Lara. She's got to go in. We want to
Hashtag no Lara left behind.
Exactly. Every Lara matters. Lara's very, very special to me. I've had some difficult times. One of them was actually battling cancer a few years ago, about 7 years ago now. And her strength and determination absolutely got me through that and was an inspiration for that. So she's very special.
Wow, that's incredible to hear.
Very special. And just to answer Rex's questions, because it's used to ask Susie what's her favourite Tomb Raider game. That's so hard. That's such a hard question. Instinctively, my mind goes to Tomb Raider 2. But then Tomb Raider 3's got all those lovely snowy levels. And you've got R.X. Text Minds where you're going around in the cart and just smacking the things. That's really good too. Yeah, Tomb Raider 2 and then Tomb Raider 3. But I'm showing my age a bit now, actually, because I remember anyone in the UK, I don't even have it in America, do you remember BTs? I actually ended up buying Tomb Raider 1 when it first came out in DTs in 1996, a very long time ago.
Oh, I wasn't born yet.
Oh, rub that one in.
Wow. Okay.
True, but always interesting to hear when someone wasn't born yet. Yeah. But you still fell in love with Lara, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's hard not to love, really, isn't she? It's just such a determination. She never gives up. And I think that's what I admire about her the most.
So I hate to be this person, but everybody who is watching, if you enjoy this lovely segment and the other content with the other artists and so on, we would love if you could either make a donation or just share on social media or so on. We're getting so close to getting to 30,000. It would be so great to hit that milestone. So if you can share and get to people or donate even a small amount, that'd be amazing.
Please tell me I finally worked.
It's
Oh my God.
working.
Hi, Bren.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How is
Bren's
everyone?
amazing voice is very recognizable.
Yeah.
Hunter
it is.
Hunter Wolf has also entered chat.
Hello, Hunter Wolf. How's it going?
Hello.
You finally made it.
Hey,
I always
I
believed
made
in you.
I fixed all my shenanigans. We're ready to go.
Okay, well, even if we have 15 minutes left of this one, you can still hang out for a bit if you want, you know.
So it's yeah, absolutely.
But I know the artists here are super excited that you're here, so.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. First time like really talking to the whole crew. It's pretty wonderful.
Yeah. So you've been watching Susie doing her art.
Yeah, I've been in the shadows creeping, just watching her paint.
Speaking of
I love
Susie,
it.
why'd you guys get so quiet? The crew, the crew that was mentioned.
I just can't speak.
Do I have to do all the talking? So this is a totally random fun fact, but a lot of the voices that were in 2013 and then all up until Rise, I had to fill in as the majority of the bad guys. So I would always be the one who they'd pull in and ask me to do voices. So I'm used to saying she's over there or something like that, and always yelling about that. So I think
That's
I see her.
amazing.
Like it was very amusing because they almost accidentally shipped my voice with 13,
Oh, that
which
was
would be a
they?
big no-no.
And you
Yeah.
were the official voice of Set, right? In
Yeah, and that
Young
wasn't supposed to
Osiris.
happen either. That was just a totally random thing that happened, and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is gonna be you." Okay, cool.
Yeah, you had to help me out with that because I always get a temp VO and I'm like, please just give me one line somewhere actually in the game. Please.
Exactly.
I want to try. So, Bren, would you be up for doing
Yes.
one of these sometime?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, so
I'd love to do that.
That would be super
Brent,
fun.
I'm gonna poke you to come on the like Rise stream or something
Yeah,
later this
I'm down.
month.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'll see if you're free.
totally. I'd love to
Yes,
do it.
please.
This is it's something that I mean, painting Laura for like almost 12 years now, almost 13. I mean 13 years. Good Lord, I'm old. That it's just one of those things that becomes it's not that it ever really gets old. You just try to find new ways to make it interesting every time. So it's always
Yeah.
fun.
Oh,
Look at Curse like you pipe
Curse
down over
Lake,
there.
what are you? Will, why aren't you on Discord with us?
Oh, what a jerk.
I love how he shows up while you're here.
Yeah, of course he does. Oh, I love that. Why did Susie get so quiet?
I'm sorry, I'm really concentrating now.
Yeah, Susie, you were so talkative before. Now what happened?
You're doing great.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry, just such a huge inspiration for me.
It's awesome to hear. Yeah, I like everything that you're talking about in terms of layer development and the way that you're using your values and the way that you're structuring lighter on her looks like you've done this before, which is great. Very pro. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love hearing how much thought goes behind stuff like this because a lot of times you're just like, oh, they're great at drawing. And like you don't really think about all of the sort of technical considerations and work that goes behind it.
Yeah. So much of this stuff is not even about really painting. It's just more about designing something that makes sense. So the way that she's right now painting the glow stick and using the reflection of the ice on the surface of that and how it cascades on her face and on her clothes and how she's actually shadowing the areas that are supposed to be occluded. All those things, those are all, I mean, clearly things that Susie's done before, but those are not they're not easily trained. You have to do this quite a bit to be able to start really kind of getting into the flow of it. So she's been doing it a while. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was quite often the one in school not paying attention because I was drawing Lara on a sketchbook or something, it used to come around.
That's funny. I used to do that too.
I feel like that's the story of so many creative people I know. It starts with like, I was in school and I wasn't paying attention to the teacher because I was writing fan fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your story, right, Hunter? Is you used to do fan fiction more, right?
Once. Not very good fan fiction. You always think when you make something when you're young, it's the best thing ever. And then you get older and you're like, wow, my first stuff was bad.
Yeah. I don't draw anymore, but I used to draw Lara all the time, and I basically would just copy Michael Turner pieces. I couldn't come up with my own ideas or like compositions or stuff, but it was so funny because when I did my first piece, my mom was like, "This is so great, and I'm so proud of you, but does she have to have a gun?" And it's like, "Yes, Mom, it's Lara Croft."
Oh my
And
god,
she's
literally same story for me. Like I used to draw her when I was in kindergarten. And the teacher was always like, "This is a little bit inappropriate for you to," and I was like, "No, this is Lara Croft."
I
Yeah.
know who this is. Yeah, that's so funny.
I used to get in trouble in school all the time for doodling Lara Croft in class.
Yeah, art class especially. I had a friend called Jessica actually, and she was fantastic at drawing. We were both huge. She made it. Oh, I'm reversing myself now. I can't remember the words now, so don't ask me to do it. We actually made up a song about Lara Croft. So we had a song about her, and in art class when we were supposed to be sort of studying and things for our GCSEs, we'd be in the corner comparing and drawing Lara Croft.
I love that.
My mum was watching this, so I'm going to get told off now. She's like, I didn't know that. Right, yeah. So at the moment, I'm just putting in those like smaller highlights just to accentuate some of the stuff a little bit more. It's not probably the neatest thing I've done, but I just want to try and sort of get as much of it done as I can for you guys during this.
It's always funny when artists are so critical of their work because I look at anything and I'm like, oh my god, it's a masterpiece. And they're like, oh no, this is terrible.
It is. It's like it's like a vicious cycle of self-hatred that never really goes away. It's like no matter what you do, you always kind of go, God, why did I do that? And then you do the next piece, and then you go, God, that sucks even worse. And then you finally get one out of like 50 that's kind of good, and you're like, all right, that's okay. And then you see someone next to you, like, God, they're fucking crushing it. What am I doing? It's like if you get 1 out of 200, that's great. You're doing awesome.
That's so crazy to hear you say that too, Bren. But I suppose it's true of every artist, right? Like, no
It
matter
is
what
kind of
you
the general
do.
theme, yeah. People,
That's
I
the
think,
way I've always felt, so it makes me feel so much better to hear someone else say it, especially someone like you.
well, I mean, it's I don't know. My perspective is it's always important to be looking at what you're not doing yet versus what you are doing, because learning how to paint and learning how to draw and be a draftsman only goes so far, and then you have to find your own voice, and then you got to figure out why what you're doing is interesting, and that's the hardest part, is finding your own voice and your own like style and the way that you handle characters or whatever it may be. And that's really where things kind of change, is you found a way to speak with your stuff. People can paint really well, but designing is very difficult.
Yeah.
I feel like the most difficult thing is to find your own style. I feel like I haven't
Absolutely.
figured out mine. I'm saying it's a work in progress, honestly, because it's changing every time.
Yeah. What do you think helps you hone in on your style? Are you just exploring a lot of different things, or is there anybody in particular that inspires you? Or
I'm just exploring, although I feel like for gaming artworks, it's easier to like tend on a photorealistic style, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Like for example, I really like to make really saturated pieces with silky hair, smooth skin, and like big sparkly eyes, but I feel like it wouldn't work well with Tomb Raider, so I just like to go in on the details and make everything as realistic as I can, and yeah.
I feel like stylized pieces are even harder to achieve than realism. It's just,
That's true.
Yeah.
Bren, you have such a wide, know a lot of people see your more realistic looking stuff like you did for the TR1 cover, but you also did for Tomb Raider, 10 years ago. You did that Shipwreck Vista piece that was like really unique and stylized. Like, how did you develop the different styles, and do you still do like a bunch of experimenting with styles?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's always the same process of just kind of I think Susie said it earlier. She's just kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just kind of go, and then you like figure things out, and that's really how it kind of works. Is you rely on things that you know, shape and form and lighting and like composition, and then what you're doing is just playing and pulling with different things that you see and you're interested in or you like. But it's never really the same thing twice. A lot of times when people start to do work that is kind of ownable and theirs, it's because it's their crutch and it's like the thing that they do consistently. It's when they step out of that and they do something a little wacky or crazy or totally like just fucking bonkers. They pull back and then they bring that back into their own work, and suddenly they've twisted it slightly, and you start to recognize that their voice starts to speak a little bit louder because they have something new. And I think that that's kind of
Yeah.
what I try to do is
Yeah.
go out and do something a little bit weird. And in that, like it's the thing where like you can't really find yourself until you get lost, and you want to go out there and get lost a bit and go like, what the hell was I thinking? But you bring it back, and you always find a couple things that you go, well, that was interesting. I can build that in.
I
Hey,
love that.
don't want to don't want to cut you guys off, but just wanted to give everyone so we have like about a few minutes until I need to raid Owl Lucas, who's going to be doing the Angel of Darkness speedrun. So I'm going to be raiding his Twitch channel, and I'm going to be moving up to a different voice channel on Discord for that. So you guys are welcome to hang out here if you wanted to. But in terms of the actual schedule and the program for Extra Life, yeah, in just about a few minutes, I'm going to be switching up to the next segment. So just wanted to give you that like 3-minute warning.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, I just have a question for Bren.
Yeah.
Do you, okay, maybe a stupid question, but like for example, if you're asked to do a concept art for a character, do you use photo references or do you, like, does everything
Yeah.
come from your genius brain?
No, no, no. I would say everything that I do comes from trying to do research, and like think Will is in the channel right now. But most of our job is finding things that that are reference pieces that relate either directly or indirectly to things that we have to design. So it could be anything from the way that we were thinking about her pistols, or the way that we were handling her pickaxe, jacket, boots, anything. It comes from somewhere, but it has to tell something. It has to say something. So it's always a mixture. I always end up painting over my entire image. No, like I always end up. I usually flatten it, which is really dumb. I usually flatten my image, which gets rid of my layers, but it makes me commit, which I like, because at a certain point, a lot of layers on your image tends to make you get a little loosey goosey, and you like fumble through it a bit. So I usually flatten it out, and that's where all those reference points go away, and I can just paint forward and think about what I want to do, because it makes me commit to something. So it always starts with reference, with some kind of photo, and then it starts to devolve back down into what I really want it to be.
Okay, I see. Thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, Bren, in the future, I'd love to start doing sort of like a, I don't know, masterclass sessions with people at the studio, and have like Cam show off some of the rendering, and you do some art, and I think that would be really fun. Maybe have some people from the narrative team talk through how they do some basic work, narrative work, and so on. I think that'd be really neat. So would love to have you for that in the future.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's cool because when you're on the outside, I mean, when I was younger, looking in from the outside, it always seems like, wow, look at all this stuff they're doing. This is nuts. But then there is a process, there's a pipeline, there's a way that we handle most stuff, there's a reason for all of it. And so to kind of get a peek into that, it usually unlocks a lot of artists. They go, oh, well, I can do that. And then it's just about executing it in like mileage and doing it a lot.
Demystifies it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly right. There's a little bit of like smoke and mirrors with just about everything within games. And I think once you see behind that like curtain, it's about being really smart about what you're doing, and not working your fingers to the bone over one thing, but kind of evenly working things.
Especially with how much work concept teams have to do. Like concepting out an entire world and every character and every different item and so on. There's so much work there. I have to imagine it'd be easy to get stuck in the weeds and just not move on enough.
We do it all the time. We came in at right around 3,500 pieces of concept art for Tomb Raider 10 specifically. I remember going through it and like just thinking, what the hell is going on? It was nuts, but it had to be done And a lot of those things are, little sketches here or there, but they all drive towards something, and they all feel like they really landed in this very interesting place. A lot of the best stuff, this is my opinion, but a lot of the best stuff are things that people will never see ever. Like that. I think like Tomb Raider 2013 got some good exposure with monkeys and all kinds of cool stuff. But there is so much on the cutting room floor that is just fucking awesome.
Well, they might see it now because I've just been digging up a ton of shit. So
Yeah, totally.
I think I just gave the fans like 350 pieces of concept art from TR 2013. So
I know. I remember just looking
I'm
at
grateful for that.
It's so fun to see. All right, do we have to do the raid, Neha?
I think she already did.
Oh, she already did the raid. Yeah. So I'm gonna go over and support Owl Lucas. I want to check out this Angel of Darkness speedrun. It's so cool to see that. But thank you for all of the awesome work that you guys did today.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Love it. Thank you.
Well done.
All right.
It was so much fun.
Well done,
Yeah.
guys.
Really cool.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thanks, all.
Cool. Welcome everyone. Are you